Are you recording, Ricky? Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is my privilege to try to bring some class to this crappy show. I'd like to talk to you about the difference between the Gibson Les Paul Tribute and the standard Les Paul. Both guitars, as you can see, are made out of wood. They're both made out of mahogany body, mahogany neck, and a maple cap. On the Gibson Les Paul standard, they use really pretty wood and they put plastic binding around the edge of the body and around the edge of the neck. So that's the biggest difference between the two. For some pretty wood and some plastic, you will pay at least $1,000 more. To me, that's stupid. But to you, it might not be. To each his own, etc., and so on. I'm happy to help you out with knowledge like this that I can pass on from time to time. Thank you very much. Turn the camera off, Ricky.
Hello, Richard from budgetguitarist.com, and today it's a Les Paul shootout, Gibson versus Epiphone, expensive versus not as expensive, good looking versus not quite as good looking. Let's talk about them, let's shoot them out, and we'll see what happens. Okay, let's start with this guy. This is a 2000 Epiphone Les Paul Standard Plus. It's hard to remember all that. It was made in South Korea, and I got it sometime around 2003, 2004. To do this shootout today, I pulled the Seymour Duncan Pearly Gates pickup out of my PRS SE and put it in here because my Gibson Les Paul has a Pearly Gates. So I wanted it to be as close as possible. Now, the Pearly Gates pickup in the Gibson Les Paul has a cover on it. This one doesn't. That does make a little bit of a small difference, but in general, they're very comparable. And I don't think it affects the shootout that much. The point is to really see what both of them sound like. But let's talk features. We've got a nice maple veneer on a maple cap on a mahogany body. We've got some nice plastic binding that goes all the way around the guitar, which is really nice looking. It's a great looking instrument. I have done an additional mod. If you've seen my other video, I did remove the finish off the back. But anyway, I paid $550 for this brand new back in around 2000. Nowadays, it's not that much more money. You know, between $550 and $650, you can still pick one of these up. And that's pretty remarkable 20 years later. How have they accomplished that? Well, maybe by cutting corners, maybe more efficient production, but they also moved production from South Korea to China, or is it Indonesia? I'm not really sure where they're making Epiphones these days. Regardless, the Epiphone Les Paul is a great guitar for around $500, $600 that you can buy new, but used, you can pick these up for $250, $300, $350, and personally, I think they're a steal, especially if you put a really good pickup in them. Now let's talk about the Gibson. So this is a 2013 Gibson Les Paul 70s Tribute. It originally came with two dirty finger pickups, which I pulled out and put in a different Epiphone Les Paul you might have seen in one of my other videos. This is the Seymour Duncan Pearly Gates. It's an Alnico 2 humbucker designed to deliver the sound of classic rock, and I think it does. It's my favorite pickup. So what makes this different than a Gibson Les Paul standard with like a flame maple cap similar to the Epiphone? Well, it does have a maple cap and it's got a nice pattern to it, but it's not flame with the burst and it's not as fancy. It also does not have binding. There's not plastic binding that goes all the way around the guitar. So how much impact on tone do those two things have? None whatsoever. Those are cosmetic things that you pay extra for. When you're buying a Gibson Les Paul, you have to understand that that top that they're making and the plastic they're putting on, that's all cosmetic. People accuse Paul Reed Smith of making guitars that are like beautiful pieces of furniture. You know, they're amazing to look at. Well, Gibson Les Pauls are kind of the same thing. So the Tribute Series and the Studio Series is Gibson's attempt to kind of strip back the stuff you don't need and just deliver a good solid Les Paul. I paid somewhere around $600, I think, for this one, used a while back, which I consider to be a great deal. Nowadays, a Tribute or a Studio around here might run something like $750. So it's sort of a little bit more expensive than a brand new Epiphone, and it's going to kind of look no frills. So how the guitar looks, how much that matters to you, that's up to you to decide. But functionally, this is a Gibson Les Paul. Without the plastic, without the fancy flamey wood, Gibson Les Paul. So today what we're going to do is we're going to shoot the two out, and we're going to listen to it. We're going to listen to both of these guitars inside a track, inside a Logic Pro, and then you can be the judge of the sonic differences between the two. Okay, without any further ado, let's go ahead and shoot these two guitars out.